Get that thing up! You guys figure out you won't be
The new atmosphere of Phase 2 is evident from the beginning. The instructors remain exacting, but their emphasis is no longer about challenging a student's commitment to be here. The post-Hell Week atmosphere of Buds emphasizes teaching as well as physical training.
So let's see what happens.
How's your first days in second phase?
Pretty good, pretty good. A lot of classroom, a lot of academic stuff, but minimal physical evolution, which is good, so giving our bodies a chance to heal.
For the first 2 weeks of second phase, Class 234 learns the basics of diving physics, diving medicine, and diving decompression tables for a written test that is the most demanding academic test in Buds. Every student must pass this written test before the next stage of training, the preparation for Pool Week.
Ready surface, ready surface. Ready bottom, ready 25, ready 25. Commence training.
The dive tower is a cylinder of water 50 feet deep, where the students are introduced to free swimming ascent, or FSA. For most of Class 234, this is their first extended experience underwater. Each student makes one FSA from 25 feet and one from 50 feet, after breathing air under pressure inside a diving bell. Breathing pressured air at 25 feet gives a person twice the volume of air in his lungs than normal. At 50 feet, close to 3 times the normal amount. FSA is an essential technique used if a SEAL must ditch his equipment underwater and surface safely. Instructors guide each student through each ascent, observing their comfort level in the water. As he goes to the surface, each student must continuously exhale, never exceeding the ascent speed of his own bubbles. To do so risks the expansion of the compressed air in his lungs, with the potential for a fatal result. Week 3 of Phase 2 is called Pool Competency Week. Students are tested on their different dive procedures in a series of timed evolutions. Everything from putting on their dive gear to checking over their swim buddies for twisted straps is done under a time limit. Their 2-hose, open-circuit twin-tank scuba equipment weighs nearly 72 pounds. Pool Week evolutions are well-planned, choreographed situations occurring in 9 feet of water. Students must follow the various procedures precisely and demonstrate specific skills and comfort in the water or be dropped from training.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you are a winner, fall in on Mr. Pace. Fall in 2 lines.
Pool week is usually what makes or breaks somebody in Buds. You make it through pool week. Wish you're not squared away. I mean, there really shouldn't be any more problems after that. It's definitely a butt kicker, but then you're gonna swallow a little bit of water, but I'm not nervous about it. I'm pretty confident, actually.
One thing never changes. At Buds, winning is everything.
Because there are losers in this world. It's no longer the PC generation here. Now, listen up. Everybody left face, except for you, the losers here. These are prisoners of war. These are dead guys, all right? Because they didn't do their job right. Everybody wave bye-bye to them.
Good exhalation. Turn the air off. Stow the regulator underneath the manifold.
The students learn every dive procedure step by step, in strict sequence. During a real operation, in cold water, following these procedures might save their lives.
Arm above your head. Upon reaching the surface, what do you say?
I feel fine.
That's all it is.
In the water.
Carelessness underwater equals death. When the students enter the pool to practice FSAs, attention to detail takes on a whole new meaning.
You misunderstood. You think we're supposed to turn your air on? You're supposed to be ready to dive when you come up here, right? So, you're ready to die? Is that it? Why don't you drop on down? Hey, Franzia, is this your swim buddy? Negative? Yeah, you were with them. Why don't you drop on down? You didn't have your air on either? What is wrong with you? Do you think it's probably pretty important to have your air on before you enter the water?
Take seats.
I kind of freaked out at first when they told us to take off the mask and the whole water being in your nostril and having it drip down your neck. You're like, all right. But we just get used to it.
They're definitely beginners in the dynamics of diving. But like I said, this is the building blocks of combat diving. They learn the basics here.
Just keep talking. Say something.
Morgan is having trouble. He can't breathe through his mouth when his face mask is full of water.
Settle down. Okay, just relax. Okay? What's the problem?
The waterfall going down the back of my throat.
All right, now we're just gonna keep practicing this until you get it. Just remember, you're on the surface. All you gotta do is take it off. Don't freak out, just relax. Try to relax. Go to your happy place, okay?
You find a lot of guys never dove before. Sometimes it's the first time they've seen the ocean, much less a pool this size.
I want to have you do.
You get some interesting things that happen down there, and guys quickly learn how little they like the water.
For Morgan, if his problems in the water continue, it will draw unwanted attention and place him under the instructor's microscope. It is not the kind of attention either Morgan or anyone else needs. It is said that water can make cowards of us all. The psychology of Pool Week works on everybody's mind. Many students who project confidence find themselves in a new situation. They won't have control underwater.
It's the first day of Pool Week. Today's dive is ditch and don, which is essentially broken down like this. Today they learn how to ditch their gear and don their gear and the correct procedures, which in turn will pretty much build them for success for Pool Week.
It's not really that difficult if you keep your wits about it, one procedure at a time. Just keep them in order in your mind.
You live on a farm all your life and you get thrown into sucking a regulator, you're gonna have problems. We do all this in 3 days.
Some classes everybody passes, and some classes we lose 20% through dive phase.
I checked too many times, bro.
What do you mean you check too many times?
Check my straps.
Hey, get him jocked up, straighten him up like his chest strap is going at an angle here, like that. Clean him up.
The other way.
All right, go get back in line.
Seaman Morgan, he's had problems during our first 2 pool dives last week. Okay. Stayed right here, very uncomfortable during all water evolutions.
You know what you're doing, right? Check the toy.
Okay.
You know what you're doing, right, Morgan? Okay.
Perry, enter the water. Enter the water.
Morgan is the only student requiring a retest. Unknown to him or his instructors, Morgan has a physical problem. He can't prevent water from trickling down his throat without wearing a face mask. But Morgan is having problems following procedures as well. He is not demonstrating an ability to remain calm under stress. For Morgan, the performance clock is ticking.
I feel fine.
There's a lot of different type of students out there that we have to deal with, and it's not all mental. Some of it's physical capabilities, and we just have to break through those barriers. Everybody's not ready to be a combat diver when they get here. That's our job, to make them combat divers.
Failure. Time 7:28. 7:28. Major.
The needs of the many are greater than the needs of the few. As Morgan is separated for further retesting, the class moves on to the next evolution.
If he fails that, then you take him to the 8.
Open circuit number 4 is nothing more than a continuation of open circuit number 3. The only difference is you're going to do it with a blacked out face mask.
In a real-world operation, the best plan changes when the first shot is fired. If his dive gear develops a problem on a night operation, a SEAL must know his way by feel.
The headache still there?
Yeah.
Bad?
Halfway through the evolution, Pool Week claims its first physical casualty. Lively's problem proves to be minor, but in dive phase, safety comes first.
I think it might be a little bit of a CO2, too much CO2 in the body system, causing a headache up here, up in the head.
Here?
Or it could be also a partial sinus squeeze, where the pressure as they go down, the pressure builds in their head, causing the air pocket in the sinus to squeeze a little bit, causing the blood to come out of the nose and everything else. You really can't tell until we get to an actual doctor and have him look at it as well.
So he's got a killer headache.
First turn around, hang your toes.
Class 234's next evolution may be the toughest, most challenging one in second phase. The students must tread water for 5 minutes in 72 pounds of gear without using their hands. This requires great physical stamina. The enemy is panic. When a student feels he is drowning, the urge to use his hands or head for the side of the pool is overwhelming.
Keep your hands off the wall. Back up. Spinowitz, back up. Keep your hands off the wall.
I guess I just panicked a little. Kept my kicks too short and too fast instead of long strides. It's just getting your technique down, I guess.
Got that hands on the water, all right?
It's a lot of weight and it's hard to tread water. It's heavy.
You have a job to do. You do it the best of your ability. If a guy gets hurt, you take care of him. But if it's just a minor aches and pain, you're a little bit tired, hey, that's the nature of the beast.
You want to quit? Then get out there. Suck it up.
That's the hardest thing I've done yet. That's the first thing I've had any real difficulty with yet here at Bugs.
Let's go, Rosie. Kick it.
Treading water claims another casualty. Rosebro appears to pass out. At 17, he is the youngest member of the class, but he never quits, going under rather than heading for the side.
How about we start with a simple question? Who are you?
See Rosebro.
Rosebro's problem proves uneventful. The precautions taken are as much to test the readiness of Bud's emergency procedures and personnel as they are to protect Rosebro.
Lively, open the ambulance.
97.
Bud's students are highly competitive. None of them like to fail.
Winner or loser? Winner.
Every procedure underwater is part of a simple series of tasks in a stressful environment.
Be honest with me now. Did you put your hands in the water? Yes or no?
I had one hand that
yes
went
or
under.
I didn't ask a question. Did your hands go underwater?
Story. One hand
I mean,
went
they did.
underwater.
Okay, then that's a failure, right?
Yes, sure.
So why are you giving me attitude being all upset?
I'm not trying to assert
Okay, well, you failed the evolution. If you cannot meet the standards, that means you failed, correct?
Yes, sure.
That's my job here, is to uphold the standards, make sure that you perform like you're supposed to. And if you don't, then what happens? You fail, right?
Yes, sure.
Beat it.
Gear exchange is the next evolution. It's all about working together under pressure.
I feel fine.
Among others, Rivera and Bischoff fail.
Well, we got frickin' cracked, don't we? That was a little smooth, wasn't it? Stand up.
I'll just go gutter. What happens is the uncomfortable guy just sits down there confused, and the real comfortable guy swims around, takes his fins off for him, takes his mask off for him, puts the life jacket on for him, basically just does all the work. And you can tell that if he was down there with somebody else that wasn't as experienced, he would definitely have problems. So the guy who's done all the work is going to definitely get a pass, and the guy who is confused and is not doing all the work is going to fail.
While others pass their retests, Morgan continues to be unsuccessful.
Just gotta follow the procedures perfectly. Keep breathing.
What'd you do, Morgan?
He said I was holding on to the airpiece too much.
So basically, he was doing all the work while you were down there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The instructors now suspect Morgan has a physical problem.
I think he has some type of problem where he cannot breathe with a mask off. He can't collapse his esophagus. He allows water down the back of his throat. That induces a lot of panic. You know, he's one of these typical guys who have had no experience in the water. And that coupled with his little problem, and right now the stress is mounting, so he's floundering.
I feel fine!
Hey, you don't do this here. You might do that in the YMCA, but not here. The other two.
It's by the numbers with Morgan. He gets no chances. He's pretty much shot his silver bullet in my book. So when he comes back in the water, one slip up, if he allows his buddy to do all the work, you know, halfway through it, I'm gonna pull him. So I'd rather see him leave now than hurt himself or anyone else.
Okay, right away. Shake everything out. Get comfortable. Well, for me, I'm the proctor of this class, which means I do all the paperwork with them. I'm in every timed evolution with them. I'm basically their mother through training, through second phase. So I have a little more invested than the rest of the instructors with these students. So I don't like to see anybody really go away if we can get them through training.
Morgan's isolation and anxiety are increasing. He's falling behind, but can still control his own fate. As his problems mount, however, he is becoming more and more conspicuous to the instructors.
I feel fine!
Time. 5 minutes, 25 seconds. Fail. On a sequence, pop this chest strap and this waist strap.
That's the thing about a class. You have the verbal and nonverbal pressures. Hey, when you start bringing pressure upon yourself and it starts affecting the class, hey, it affects you personally.
Hey, you get with your class. Hey, Morgan, go sit against the wall.
This student has failed the 4th time for ditch and dawn. He now has to go to academic review board where they'll look at his entire record and they'll decide whether to give him another try at gear exchange and let him move on, or whether he'll be dropped from training completely.
Instructor Barry asked me if the class had come early to the O course and dug out the crawl pit, and I told him that not that I had seen. So, and I told him I couldn't rightly answer that question because I wasn't looking in that direction, if at all that was done.
In BUD/S, there are no shortcuts to success.
Answer the question when it's asked to you.
You guys forming up?
Forward up.
Class 234 tries to create one on the O course, but they're caught. The instructors are not amused.
All right, listen up. Obviously, you guys are starting to take advantage of me and giving you guys breaks and stuff. Give you an extra 10 minutes for lunch, and what do you guys do? You come out here and you dig out your sand pits, you set the logs up and shit. That's bullshit. That's not gonna start happening. You guys are starting to get lackadaisical as a class, laughing and coking and joking with some of the instructors. That's unacceptable, all right? You guys got 2 minutes to hit the surf wet and sandy. Go.
Go. Move it!
Hurry up!
Move it!
Class 234 must now pay the price. But the instructors have a larger goal. They know the class needs to regain their focus if they are to pass one of the major milestones of second phase, the pool competency test.
How much time you got right now?
1 minute and 20 seconds.
Okay. Then the last guy comes across. Give me about 1 minute with the last 5.
Okay.
Last 5! Why don't you come over and join me? Nice try, Bischoff. You almost made it. Line it up. You know what you're doing. Double arm width apart. Spread it out. Begin.
Side jumpers.
Morgan over there.
Let me demonstrate real quick.
Morgan returns to the class after his academic review board. He is out of chances. The instructors keep the pressure on.
Morgan, are you not very coordinated?
Hoo-yah, it's Chuck McHenry.
Hoo-yah yes, hoo-yah no.
Hoo-yah, yes.
You're not very coordinated. Watch what I'm doing. Up, down. You see how they went out and then came back together?
Hoo-yah.
Up, down. Do them like that. Up. Up. Up.
Hoo-yah, stand by.
Hey, gents, in all of these evolutions, it carries right over into pool week. It's attention to detail. All right? When I tell you how to do it, I'm gonna tell you how to do it once. Do it right the first time. So pay attention to detail and you'll pass tomorrow. Yours, sir.
Moving.
Standing outside the office.
You're gonna prepare for your
To pass pool comp, each student must demonstrate attention to detail while being harassed by the instructors. It is easier said than done.
They'll come up to you, grab you, spin you around a couple times, rip off your mask, rip out your regulator, turn your air off, and you have to basically get your composure, turn on your air, find your regulator, put it back in, and check yourself, make sure all your straps are properly put on, sized up, and then you're done. And that's why we're here, is to get some action, have some fun, get a little beat up.
To simulate surf hits, the instructors tie knots in the students' air hoses that can't be untied. They want to see guys think and perform in unfamiliar situations.
When I was trying to do the knot, I was tugging on the hose. I couldn't get the knot out, so I couldn't get air to it. It was just, I was pulling it at the wrong stuff. It just probably tightening something around. If I would have pulled on the right one, it probably would have been pretty easy to get out.
Just trying to get the damn knots out, and so just concentrating on that, and not really focusing on the big picture.
For many of the students, 10 seconds without air is an eternity. Less than 1 in 5 pass the first time.
Man, I'm running good today. 20%.
20% pass rate.
Did it surprise me? Yeah, a little. But, I mean, I failed before and come back, so.
Kolarov sustains several unintentional injuries during his test. He fights through them, but misses one small detail.
I did good, and towards the end, I just was out of breath, and I freaking forgot to put my stupid weight belt on and stow my straps, and it killed me. I failed for that.
Never checked your air, never checked your J valve, never did any dive suit check at all. So you missed 3 dive suit checks. Morgan, time was 15:15. Failed. Failure to complete sequence, times 3. Give him a chance, man. I'm giving him the chance. Call me the Candy Man, Santa Claus.
Morgan is such a great guy, great athlete. But right now, he's having a serious problem with the S and seal, you know? He's having a problem with the water. I don't know what's going to happen with him.
For the men who don't pass, the stakes are higher. Each failure brings them closer to being dropped from butts.
You've been breathing, you've been doing this. If you start thinking too much about it, just go by muscle memory.
You run out of air, you run out of air. You don't have any reserve.
Source is interrupted. You have to check your straps. You have to do all of that.
Is it life threatening?
Bischoff, 19 minutes, 56 seconds, fail. The guy is panicked, confusion, has no clue what's going on. The guy's complete soup sandwich, period. That's exactly what he is.
Right when he entered the water, it was his second time around, so you know that he's going to have some problems. So we kept 2 men on him. I was one of them. We were watching, we gave him a surf hit, and he kind of seemed sort of panicky. We stayed close to him, and as soon as we took the regulator out of his mouth, you could see him gagging, kind of like struggling to hold his breath. I knew he was fighting to stay down there, and then he just decided, he planted both feet, he was bolting to the surface, he didn't want anything more to do with that. And so we brought him back down to the bottom, we made him do a proper FSA.
When Chira makes an improper FSA, it is a reminder that even in 9 feet of water, death is only a breath away.
Breathing air at depth and then holding it on the way to the surface is a one-way ride to the recompression chamber.
Just puke it. Puke it out. Get with scum gutter.
Chira's sickness is a small price to pay for learning the importance of following correct procedures.
Holy smokes, that was scary.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot.
You got it.
Yeah, ripped his oral hose off trying to pull it back down. Let's go beat him with that thing. Pass or fail?
You're gonna have a 10-minute clean time to make sure that he's all right and he didn't develop an AGE, and then we're gonna place him back in line. He'll try it again tomorrow. We knew he was gonna be pretty panicky, so right after he got his brief, I added one last thing, and that was if all else fails and he feels that the world is closing in on himself, that he needs to signal out of air, and the standby diver would come over and give him the regulator. He was showing signs of panic. He planted his foot once, the other instructor placed his knee back down on the deck, and then he planted his foot again, and I sweeped his leg back as well. Finally, we gave him a third stage hit, which basically he should be able to get it undone. He didn't even attempt to do that. He looked over at the standby diver and signaled the out of air signal, and we walked over, gave him the regulator, and he breathed all the way to the surface.
If you are consistent highlighting yourself, both with the instructors and the class, if you're a thorn in their side, it's like the human body. All of a sudden, the class will build around you, and then all of a sudden they'll squirt you out.
Everybody else take your right hand and start patting the guy next to you on the back saying, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, you're gonna pass. You guys are gonna pass, it's okay.
Learn from the mistakes. Again, like you said, it's a new day. Hopefully yesterday was just a bad day. Take it from there.
As the first 4 trainees begin the retest, not every obstacle they encounter will be solvable. Instructors expect each man to make a minimum 10-second focused effort to work out of a tight spot. But the road to failure is paved with good intentions. In a swimming pool or in a dark, cold ocean, success and failure are separated by seconds.
I feel fine. Grab the hose. Geddes recommend fail.
Geddes is the class leader, but water is oblivious to rank. Reality underwater is relentlessly impartial. Ability is the tool for survival.
He was clean after that. Left arm and scum guard, get out of the pool.
You're pulling from just behind the mouthpiece. Never start pulling on the horn. That's what you did every time.
Fish temperature, 48 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hey, look, you got all the skills you need to pass this thing. All you need to do is relax and fight through all the problems. You're almost giving up, is what Senior and I were saying. You give up halfway through the problem. Oh, yeah, you know, I think it's time to come off my back. Well, it really isn't. That's why I kept on giving you so many. You take it on board, and if you get back in the pool, you'll pass.
Any questions?
Negative.
Ready to end the work?
Want to quit? Negative.
And in the water. Holly, have you gone yet? Have you gone with instructor Calvin? Negative. Negative? All right. Let's go, bad lady.
As retesting continues and more students pass, the pressure on those who remain behind mounts.
Hey, who's under that blanket?
Beach cough. Have you had him yet?
I think I'm dirty on you. Am I dirty on you?
Have you had instructor Barry?
Negative.
Negative, you have not?
Negative.
All right, well, you get to get warm by getting in the water.
Come on, hurry up, B-Shot, get in the water.
I just feels, you know, just glad to have it out of the way. And in the water.
Biscoff and Morgan are the two individuals that are having the major problem. They seem really apprehensive when under there. They go without air for more than a couple seconds and they start really getting uncomfortable, panic, confused. They don't know what to do under there. Their main problem is when we give them an exhalation knot, they still have air, but they end up breathing a little water in with it, which you just need to control and swallow. They seem to have a problem with that, and they usually end up starting to gag and they call to go to the surface. They're really uncomfortable down there. They can't control it. We're going to take them back. They're going to get into a good uniform. We'll form a second phase board, and then the director of training and a basic training officer will decide whether to let them continue with training, get 2 more tries on Monday, or if they need to maybe come back in a couple of years when they're a little more comfortable and mature.
Swim body lane.
Class 234 began phase 2 with 29 students. By week 3, they are down to 27. Before this day is over, that number will drop again.
Go. Get those tanks out.
As the rest of the class prepares for their first ocean dive, Morgan, Scott, and Bischoff are left behind for their final attempt to pass pool comp.
It is, it's hard to just let it go yet. A couple hours I'll be feeling good.
I'm actually feeling good for some reason.
Holy shit.
I don't know. This kind of started happening since the end of second phase.
No room for negative thoughts, no room to mess up whatsoever. Today should go perfectly. Today should go exactly as planned.
Okay, we have 3 students that are being given actually their 5th and 6th try at pool competency today. They were unable to pass their first 4 tries, but the instructor staff decided that they're safe and competent enough to go ahead and give them 5 and 6. So we think that they can be trained to actually possibly become a competent diver.
Head into the water. Into the water.
The time for talk is over. For these 3 men, the future will unfold in 9 feet of water. A lifetime in 20 minutes.
Into the water.
I was a deep-sea construction diver before I came here, so I have 5 years pretty much of water experience. I had a hard time putting it all together because there was always something small, and it wasn't exactly being uncomfortable, it was just little things where I'm like, oh, I can't believe I just did that. All I can say is thank God that is over.
Corey, Biscoff, time.
21:17, fail.
If they do not pass on their 5th or 6th try today, they will be taken to an academic review board, and the higher-ups will decide what happens to them.
Despite all his previous problems, Morgan rises to the challenge. His hard work and commitment and the effort of the instructors pay off.
Morgan, 1904, pass.
Bischoff's goal of becoming a SEAL now is in jeopardy.
You made it through Hell Week. You obviously made the decision to be here because few people make it through Hell Week. So we see you definitely have the desire to be here, and we don't want to drop you. But our decision now rests on if you have the aptitude to make it through here. We can go either one way or the other. Like I told you before, this board's going to make its recommendation whether to roll you back, to drop you, have you continue. We'll post outside, and we'll let you know our decision within 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
You're dismissed.
And you look at the reasons that he failed his pool comp tests were pretty significant. Surfacing with bottles, it just panic.
I feel a little partial toward, he's one of my students on the proctor room, I feel a little responsible for him, and I have a little sympathy towards him. But when it comes to trainability in the water and comfortable, it's a real scary issue, something like that.
What's the gut feeling on this? Is he worth keeping here or not?
He's not worth keeping in this class, no.
Okay.
He has obviously a problem being underwater, so the decision we have to make, I think, is either to drop him from training or to have him rolled back.
I might think about giving him a roll, because he has been improving on almost everything.
I wouldn't have any heartburns with rolling him back. He can be trained.
All right, here's the deal, Petty Officer Bischoff. The recommendation to the board, to the commanding officer, is to roll you back. That should be good news. You're obviously too far back to continue with training with Class 234, but you've shown enough aptitude for us and desire and improvement that you can pass this the next time through. So you're going to start second phase with 235 from week 1, day 1.
Yes, sir.
Class 234 now begins closed-circuit diving using a unit called the Draeger.
Draeger closed circuit is it's a pure oxygen breathing loop, much more complex than the open circuit rig. Water can enter it, and if water enters it, then it moves down and it gets collected into their scrubber canister. The water activates with the sodasorb that's in there, becomes a caustic substance. If they inhale it or breathe it, it's basically breathing acid. This is entirely new, uncharted territory for them. If they make it through these 2 dives today, yesterday and today, doing the Draeger dives, and they haven't been established as having trouble with the Draeger, then they're on a clean slate, and everybody's.
Suddenly, one of the students suffers a problem in the pool.
Is he okay right now?
Yeah, just real cloudy.
The most likely condition is the hypercapnia. What happens is you have 2 guys breathing on a rig in stressful conditions while they're exerting themselves going across the pool. So they're forcing a lot of carbon dioxide through there. Then what happens is it builds up to a point where it becomes toxic to the person breathing it. They'll start to get headaches, a little bit of tingling in their extremities and stuff like that, which is an indication that they're starting to build that up too much. Get them out of the pool, give them a quick check, find out what's going on with them. And the whole point of this training is for them to be able to establish what is normal and what is not. Pushing yourself to do the dive and to complete the mission, there's a big difference between that and pushing yourself in a medical condition where you're going to hurt yourself, where your buddy's got to rescue you.
For Class 234, Holland's problem highlights the dangers of the Draeger. To recognize the symptoms of hypercapnia, the students breathe carbon dioxide so they can experience firsthand the physical effects of carbon dioxide poisoning.
First, I felt like I didn't have any air. I was running out of air, but I figured I'd just stay on and pass out, see what it's like. I could feel my heart starting to pound and starting to get really lightheaded and dizzy. Breathe them down.
Yeah, remember, all those symptoms can happen in any order, at any time. The first thing you felt, it could be, you could just go unconscious.
Hey, guys.
During second phase, every evolution brings a new set of expectations. After a few familiarization dives in the pool, the class makes its first ocean dive in the Draegers. The class also begins to learn underwater navigation, an essential skill to the mission of all frogmen. As the class's diving skills increase, the instructors never cease devising evolutions designed to reinforce teamwork. Everything is done with a time limit. Urgency and efficiency are a characteristic of SEAL real-world operations. This exercise is called student soup. Every piece of gear available is thrown into the dip tank. It is another timed evolution designed to test and teach group unity.
Okay, let's go. What we'll look for throughout this evolution is the student that will mainly look for his gear, find it, maybe get his dive buddies if he wants, and we'll kind of worm off in the corner and watch his class get hammered.
To be a warrior means fighting well as an individual. To be a soldier means fighting well in a team. To be a SEAL means doing both.
It all kind of builds on itself. What we'll do is we'll induce some stress on them and see how they react if they just fold under pressure.
This evolution combines the seemingly contradictory requirements of individual effort and teamwork.
I think that's everything that's in here.
Hey, who's looking for a fin? 1 minute!
Team gear, your fucking unit gear, then yourselves. You don't go hide in their locker room.
5, 6.
The worst tag any frogman could be labeled with by his peers is to be known as an individual and not a team player. Ruthman and Spinowitz will learn this lesson the hard way.
Don't we pay you to be a leader?
We want to go.
So what's your excuse?
No excuses for help.
You will face each other and put on your gear on your knees. Go do it.
Hurry up! Get your gear on!
Hey, Spinowitz, you and Mr. Ruthman will not be last. British Scud, drop that. Get those weapons off. Drop on down. No, you two stay on your knees. You're all individuals. Get your head up. 6 inches. Get them up 6 inches.
Just put your feet down.
Go get Carl.
No big deal.
Carl, he don't care. He's
Man. Oh, look at that. Turn around. As soon as I turn around, he puts his legs down. There you go.
A lot of people think that you'll just hammer the class just to hammer them, but that's not the way we do business. If you're screwing up, you need to have attention to detail. We'll straighten you up, and this class hasn't had to have that until today. They got a little 15-minute session of getting straightened up.
Bro, 1 minute! Get up there.
In the SEAL teams and at BUD/S, the needs of the few will never outweigh the needs of the many.
All right, here's the deal. You guys are going to be entering aft. You're going to follow the rudder down. You're going to get to the dunce cap, check out the screw, check out the main strut that supports the weight of the shaft. Follow the shaft up. It's going to be rubber coated.
The first time it's a little disorienting. I mean, it's intimidating. You hope they don't turn it on while you're down there. So we go into the ship, we hit the rudder first. The instructor points out where to place the mines to cause the most damage. He moves us on towards the propellers to the shaft, which hold the propeller up. And he says, place them on here, and he shows us how to counterplace them instead. When they blow, it'll blow against each other and cause just the strut to just crack in half.
Always there seems to be one more dive, one more training evolution. For Class 234, the relentless pace demands personal sacrifice, a rule every SEAL learns at BUD/S.
You're always in the water, and you're always tired, and you're always just in a bad mood, pretty much.
Getting up really freaking early. I mean, some mornings we have muster by 4:30, 4:45, and then like last night, I didn't get in bed till 1. So you're getting 3, 4, 5 hours sleep a night max a lot of nights. And then it's not just that, but then you get up and you have to, we have a 4-mile time to run, or O course, or 2 more dives today, and so where's you out?
It gets better on midnight. We muster at like 4:30, so some people get up at 4, some people get up at 4:15. We're working on 4 hours of sleep right now. I'm sure it's hitting everybody, because the schedule's been pretty tough. So yeah, we're pretty tired, but just good practice for the future.
Fatigue plays a part on the last night's dive, but there are no excuses acceptable for failure.
Last night. That's a bunch of crap. You guys don't even know where you're at under the water. At this point of the game, you guys obviously need more water time there, Mr. Pace.
If you're unsure of where you're going to plant a bomb, you guys shouldn't be planning it. You guys planted on a boat that was half your target size. It was on the wrong pier, facing the wrong way.
I found out that it wasn't the correct site, so we were going to go back down and return on limpet. But he had ear problems, and we couldn't go down and clear. So we ended up having to turtle back to the extract point.
And once you guys put an anti-removal device on, if you even try and move it, it's going to go off. Yeah. All right? You guys need to really pay attention to your surroundings and during the brief. I mean, you guys are probably going to end up paying for that for the rest of the time you're in second phase.
MREs, it's supposed to be a meal ready to eat, but depending on your digestive system and the type of meal you get, it's either a meal ready to exit or a meal refusing to exit. Yeah, I'm eating beef stew, and crackers, and hopefully I can trade out, get rid of this damn peanut butter. Stuff will stop you up quicker than anything else.
For Class 234, the long ordeal of becoming watermen is nearly over. Only one evolution remains. Inside their diving locker room, students have a small sanctuary to escape the instructor's scrutiny. Instructors respect the boundaries.
I've been missing breakfast every day for the past week and a half.
Students use their brief moments of rest to do what all BUD/S students do: eat, joke, complain, and try to stay warm.
Hey man, don't film the blanket. You'll get in trouble. Maybe. Well, they won't know about it. So. Yeah, so you have a nice full blanket in here.
All these people that claim to be so this guy. He's sick of being cold. He's wearing a black beret with a trident on.
Where's your blanket?
I need to get one. I don't have one.
That's when I promised to make cookies and clean the house. And I promised to start doing the laundry and stuff.
And then you got someone like Danny making me look bad because his wife comes over and tells Becky, "Oh, Danny's great. He's great. He cleans everything up. He does the dishes." Becky's like, "Oh, really?" "Yeah, he cooks, he cleans."
She doesn't quite have the accent that you were just putting on.
No sympathy here. Look, I got I showed her my little bruises, my little owies, stuff. She's like, "I don't care. You told me how tough you are. Suck it up."
The final training exercise, or FTX, is the culmination of everything learned in second phase. Students bite their Draeger mouthpieces tightly as a reminder that water will contaminate the rig if the mouthpiece comes loose.
Group 1, start your purge.
FTX dives, it's final training exercise dives for second phase. They take all the skills that they learned in second phase on diving and try and incorporate them all together into actually hitting their target ship.
The FTX demands a level of precision that these students have never faced at BUD/S. It's as close to a combat dive as they'll get before they join an operational SEAL team. The members of Class 234 learn well. Each swim team successfully locates their target, performs the mission, then arrives safely and on time at their extraction point. Of the 29 men in Class 234 who began second phase, 26 will move on to Phase 3, their final step to graduating BUD/S. The class is unified, tired, but anxious to begin the final 10 weeks of their BUD/S training. Phase 3 will be the most dangerous phase yet.